Hi guys, we're going to look now at solving quadratic equations by using the quadratic formula. Now the quadratic formula is a tool that we use to solve quadratics whenever we are unable to solve them by factorising. This works well for any roots that you have that are big long recurring decimals that you would never ever get factors of when you go to factorise. So when we use this, and this formula will be given for you at National 5 level, when we use this formula, what it allows us to do is it gives us the actual roots and we can round it to however many decimal places that we need to. Okay? So if I was to look at this equation here, it says consider the graph of y is equal to x minus 3 all squared minus 2. Well, we know that from the last topic that we did, the last quadratic topic, we know that this would give me a turning point of 3, negative 2. Remember, it's always the opposite of the number in the bracket and then the number outside. So a turning point of 3, negative 2 would be about here. Okay, slightly off it. It will cut through the x-axis because of the shape of the parabola. However, if you were to expand the brackets and square out that bracket, then put the minus 2 in, you would get x squared minus 6x plus 7 equals 0. But that won't factorise. You could try it until doomsday, it just won't factorise. So there has to be a solution to it. And it's for quadratics like that that we use the quadratic formula. In order to use the quadratic formula, we have to make sure that we have the quadratic arranged in a certain format. And we have to arrange it in the format of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Again, your right hand side must equal 0. So the quadratic looks at the formula in terms of a, b and c, where a is the number beside the x squared term, b is the number beside the x term, and c is whatever number is left over. So for example, if we have 4x squared minus 5x plus 9, that gives us that a is equal to 4, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to 9. Okay? Then we just take those numbers and put them into the formula and make it work out. Questions which need the use of the quadratic formula will ask for numbers to be given to some number of decimal places or sig figs. Okay? It usually appears in a calculator paper, but they could also ask you to use part of it in a non-calculator paper, and your roots would be nice whole numbers, or it'll be just a nice decimal that finishes off to one decimal place. More about that when we do some past paper questions. So let's look at example 3 here. It says, find the roots of the equation x squared minus 6x plus 7 equals 0, giving your answers to one decimal place. So the first thing that we do here is we write down our values of a, b and c. So if it's x squared on its own, that must mean it's 1x squared. So a is going to be 1, b is going to be minus 6, and c is going to be 7. And I want to just take those values and substitute them into the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula says x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, you don't need to learn this off by heart. You just have to know when to use it. So I'm going to take these values and put them into the formula. So that means that x is equal to minus b, so that's going to be minus 6 plus or minus the square root of minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, all over 2 times 1. Okay, so that will give me minus 6 is plus 6, so it'll be 6 plus or minus the square root of, and I want to work out this bit underneath the square root. So you can either use your calculator or you can just do it manually. So that would give me minus 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7, so it's 36, take away 28, which will give me 8, all over 2. It's at this point that we look at this bit here, the plus minus bit. Okay, this is what allows us to find the 2 roots, because the answer can be split up at this point, because that just means x is equal to 6 plus the square root of 8 over 2, or 6 minus the square root of 8 over 2. So then all we do is just put this into our calculator. So 6 plus the square root of 8 divided by 2, which will give me 4.414. The next one is going to be 6 minus the square root of 8 divided by 2, which will give me 1.586. So then all we need to do is just go ahead and round it to what it asks for. It says round to 1 decimal place. So I'll give it to 1 decimal place. So x is going to be approximately equal to 4.4 or 1.6. And that's to 1 decimal place. So that's the roots, and we would never ever be able to get that if we factorized. Okay? Example 4. Solve the following quadratic equation, 3x squared plus 4x minus 9. Give me your answers to 1 decimal place. So again, write down your values of a, b, and c. So a is equal to 3, b is equal to 4, c is equal to minus 9. Write out your equation. So it's going to be x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Put those values in. So x is going to be minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 9 all over 2 times 3. So x is equal to minus 4 plus or minus, okay, let's work out what's under the bracket. So under the square root, I should say, that's going to be 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 9, which will give me 124. All over 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay? So x is going to be minus 4 plus the square root of 124 over 6, or minus 4 minus the square root of 124 over 6. And then just plug that into the calculator. So minus 4 plus square root of 124 divided by 6, which will give me 1.189. And then it's going to be minus 4 minus the square root of 124 divided by 6, which is going to be minus 2.523. So that means that x has to be approximately equal to, and it's to 1 decimal place, 1.2 or minus 2.5 to 1 decimal place. Okay. The next example We want to solve the equation, again given it this time to 2 decimal places. Remember, we can only ever do this when our right hand side is equal to 0. This isn't the case just now because we've got this rogue 3 over here. So I need to take it over to this side. So that would give me 2x squared minus 5x minus 4 is equal to 0. Write down your values of a, b, and c. So a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 5, c is equal to negative 4. So let's put it into the formula. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that's going to be minus 5 plus or minus the square root of minus 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 4 all over 2 times 2. So x is equal to minus 5, which is plus 5, plus or minus the square root of, and we have minus 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 4. So we'll just plug that into our calculator, which will give us 57. It's important to note here that the number underneath the square root should always be 0 in order for you. So I'll start that again. The number underneath the square root should always be bigger than or equal to 0 in order for you to solve that. We'll deal with situations when the number is less than 0 later on, but if you're asked to solve using the quadratic formula, then this number underneath the square root should always be bigger than or equal to 0. And then split it apart. So we have x is equal to 5 plus the square root of 57 over 4, or 5 minus the square root of 57 over 4. So 5 plus root 57 divided by 4, and that will give me 3.137, or 5 minus the square root of 57 divided by 4 is minus 0.637. This time it wants the answers to 2 decimal places, so then that would be x is approximately equal to 3.14 or minus 0.64. Okay? And that's how we solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula.